we're going to do it like you can ask questions and interrupt me anytime, and you can stop me and ask anything you want. Yes. Well, going to start. Morning. My name is Elmer Pineda. I'm from Honduras, and we're here in Rushville. And thank you for being here. We're in Rushville. This is the second year that we're here at the festival. Very nice people here. So we wanted to make it every year. We're at a small farm. We have a small cacao farm, and we make chocolate from tree to bar. So we've been doing this for about 12 years already. We started our plantation in 2013, and about 2017 we started producing cacao, and we started this journey about making chocolate. What we do is we normally harvest the cacao, break the cacao open, and we start the fermentation process. And the fermentation process, it's a process that takes about 7 days, where what we do, it's the fermentation. It's very important. So if you want to make good chocolate, premium chocolate or gourmet chocolate, it needs to be fermented. And what you do, the fermentation, it's you have an empty box here, and you have your box full of beans. You just get the cacao pod open, get the beans out, and fill up your box, and cover it with banana leaves. And after 24 hours, you transfer these beans to the empty box that you have here, a wooden box. What we do that is because it's the first 30 hours is a anaerobic process, which starts this chemical process and starts creating heat. And we want every bean to have the same amount of heat in it. So what happens is when you transfer these beans to the empty box, the ones that were on top will go to the bottom, and we mix it all up. So it all, between the 5th and the 7th day, it'll reach a temperature of 50 degrees. That's when we want to stop the fermentation. Once it reaches 50 degrees, we cut it, and we check for the percentage of fermentation. And that has to be between 75 and 80% fermentation. So any under that is under fermented, you'll have a chocolate that is bitter and astringent. Anything over that, then you lose all these flavors in the cacao, and you start, sometimes it's too extreme that it'll start you're tasting the chocolate like cheese, or sometimes like meat, so it's rotten. So it's not good. It's not good. Over fermented. So when you go over 80 or 90% fermentation, is not good, because you start losing the quality on your bean. So you got to stay between that. And once it's fermented, you go on the drying tables. And if the weather's good, it'll be there for 2 weeks. You start early in the morning, moving those beans, because they're very wet. The first 3 days are very wet when they come out of the boxes, and you move them. And that's very critical, because if you don't do this, it'll start getting moldy and all whitish with some yeast creating on, and it might go inside the bean, and then you're in trouble. But you got to move this every half an hour if it's weather like this, from the morning till night. Then you cover it. If it's sunny, it'll stay there for 2 weeks. So it's about, I'll call it, it's a whole month of work to make a bean ready to make chocolate. In another week, once it's dried, you take it out to the roasting oven. So you roast it, you winnow it, get the nibs, and start. That's a whole week of process because it takes about 3 days in a mill, day and night, in that mill to become chocolate. Then the whole process starts. But before that, there is a whole lot of work in the farm. We lately this past 2 years, they've been very very tough. 3 years already, very tough. The price has been good on chocolate, good for the farmers, they said, but there's nothing to sell. So that's why the whole crisis, very crazy, going from $3,500 a ton, metric ton, to 12,000. But somebody would say, hey, yeah, well, you're making money, but we don't have nothing to sell. So because of the, I don't know, climate change, that's what we say. But there's always been droughts. And there's, in the last 2 years, there's been severe droughts from January to June. And then after that, it starts the raining season. And the raining season has been way too bad. It's been too much water. So there's the trees are already stressed out from no water at all. And then it starts forming fruit. A little bit, maybe 50% of it. Not as much because of the drought. But then all this much water, it just affects the fruit. And it gets all black, full of fungus, because the water won't help the fruit. It's just way too much. And you know, when you plant, in my case, it's just even worse because ours is we started with mahogany, planting mahogany. There was already a forest in there, big forest. Then I planted mahogany, and then I did cacao. So we have 3 different shades in there. So it's a lot of shade plus all the rain. So that's a perfect conditions for fungus. So last year we lost pretty much all the harvest, 90% of it. You just get under it and you will see all the fruit all just rotten. Yeah. So, but we are getting resilient as a farmers, and we are doing things to overcome that. And what we done it, we identified the trees that are more, they're making it better. So we're getting rid of these trees. They are weaker. And what we do, it's we change the branches. What we do, it's some sort of grafting, where we cut all the way to the trunk, the tree trunk, and we get the branch, and we graft it and get the more resilient trees to multiply. And we already started that, and we are looking good for about, we just got to wait it out for 3 years. So in 3 years, we'll have, we have our hopes up that this will be, again, a good harvest. But meanwhile, we are trying to also become not also as a farmer, but also more diverse, trying to diversify the business, not only going to cacao, but also taking advantage of the fruit that we have available in the plantation, which we have pineapple, we have the vanilla, we have bananas, and what we're doing now also, it's getting all these fruits, commercializing with chocolate itself. And we are having fruit covered with freeze-dried fruit, covered in chocolate. So we don't need as much chocolate for that. And so that's the business that we are going orientated on, also to trying to survive. Otherwise, we couldn't survive to wait for the cacao for 3 years, and just because cacao is very hard. It needs a lot of time and money. I don't know if you guys been in a cacao plantation, but you gotta take care of it like it's a garden, because it's not like mahogany trees that we planted. The mahogany trees, the first 2 years, they're hard because mahogany gets a lot of these butterflies that put their eggs in it, and when they're this tall, and they put the eggs in about 10 inches down the top, and this worm gets in the larva, gets in the middle, and it starts eating, and comes out another 10 inches down, and there's a butterfly. But then, meanwhile, the tree kind of dies, but it starts it's shooting another branch here, but that takes another 2 years for the tree to start to where it was. So, but gets to a point when it's that tall, no more. I think the butterflies don't like it too much up. There's too much wind. So, and we had the bright idea to get cacao. So, we're thinking that if you have another source of income for us to have cacao in the middle, and we will sell the beans, and it would help us maintain the plantation. But it was the other way around, because cacao needed so much work every year. Even though if it's an adult tree, there's always, you gotta do cleaning, you gotta do pruning, you gotta, even if it's organic, it's a lot more work, because when you work on organic method, you cannot just spray chemicals and you get it done with. You just gotta, make this stuff that sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. You get pepper, you get all kinds of herbs all together and spray them, and you go and looking for them and spray them individually. So sometimes it works, and they go away and they come back, and it's the never-ending story. But yes, we were talking with my wife and said we cannot wait. We either chop it all down and get rid of it, or we make a more resilient form as far as cacao goes. And we started doing that, but then there's a 3-year period that we wouldn't survive it. So we started doing the fruit thing, and it's going well. We started selling it as in little bags, and put little staples in it. But now we have in our very nice package in it that my wife Nayeli here, she designed, and we're about to come to the market with it. So probably next year we're gonna have a lot of other products here with fruit, tropical fruit, and chocolate, and we're probably gonna have vanilla too. We hoping we have a bigger harvest of vanilla. We grow our own vanilla too. So, and hopefully we have enough to so the world can taste the Honduran vanilla, because we're not known for Madagascar and all these other countries. But they're very special vanilla, because it just grows in that part of the world. And so hopefully next year we're going to be more diversified. So that's the whole plan. So we're hoping that next year we're stronger as far as that, and we're more resilient to these changes that we're having, because as part of these changes, we used to have two harvests, the winter and the summer, or the other way around, the summer and the winter harvest. But now we only have in one, and the trees they're probably producing not even half less than 50% in one harvest. We used to produce around 6 metric ton. Last year we only had like 800 pounds. So that's really, really bad. So, but well, we overcome it, and we are come out stronger. Yes, but any questions so far? Go ahead.
Where's your farm?
It is located. We're in Yojoa Lake. Yojoa Lake. It's a volcanic lake. Was formed by three volcanoes. The soil there is very fertile. Very. It's dark as this cell here. The soil is very rich. In Honduras, it's the soil from the Yojoa Lake that people sell it in little sacks. They just dig holes and put it in sack, and people buy it for their gardens. Yeah, so it's very fertile soil, but it's very humid. It rains a lot. We live there, and people go and visit us and said, oh, because they go from the city about an hour from there, and it's very hot and humid, and it rains, but not too much. But in the lake where we live, it rains every day, and people there love it and we say, oh, we hate it because it just rains a lot. Yeah, so that's one of the reasons it's very diverse as far as the fauna goes, but it's not. Sometimes it's a problem when it's too much water. So it's good and it's bad. It's got to be a balance. And nowadays it's very unbalanced, the ecosystem. Yes.
I was going to ask, yesterday you were telling us about the anise avocado.
Yes.
Do you guys farm it yourself or no?
The thing is, this avocado is nobody farms it. For some reason, this avocado it only grows in a while. So yes, we have one tree in our plantation, and maybe there is another one somewhere else, but just like that, all spread apart. And but it's a very unique and very rare. So, and we are, as chocolate makers, we always getting when we eat something, we say, oh, that will go. We eat a fruit, and we always thinking if it's gonna go with this chocolate, with white chocolate, and I always we're kind of crazy because I take it to the chocolate factory and freeze dry it first because water is the main enemy per se of the chocolate. So if we freeze dry it, and we get all kinds of fruit, but not all of them are good. They're really good and tasty, but they're not all really show up when you. So I go and first test it with black chocolate, and no, I don't like it. It's just too timid. And then I try it with milk chocolate, and then with white chocolate. And some work with, like I'm trying right now, the guava. And guava, we have a lot of guava trees. And we try with with dark chocolate. It didn't work that well. Try it with white chocolate, but it did work with milk chocolate. So, but still, I'm not too happy about it. I think it needs to show more. So it does a lot of time consuming developing these flavors, like the coconut. Coconut, it's crazy because we grow coconuts all around the plantation, thinking that squirrels will have to eat coconuts and not eat our cacao. That's a lie. Because, we have coconuts, we have rambutan, we have avocados, we have mandarins, but they will come and eat everything. They go up in from tree to tree and eat the cacao tree also. So It's okay, whatever. I just eat. So, yes. So the coconut. I always wanted to make a coconut, but I'm for sure I don't want to go with the dark chocolate because you know when a cacao is over fermented, it would also you will have that coconut notes in there. But that means if you taste the cacao chocolate, dark chocolate, in there, and it tastes like coconut, but there's no coconut in there, it's over fermented. So I said, for sure, I don't want to do that because if I add coconut to a dark chocolate, it might give the idea there is. So I went with milk chocolate and roasted coconut. So it gives that aroma of roasting. But the problem is, coconut has a lot of oil in it. And I did like 10 batches of it because it all comes out like nice and tasty, but then it melts right away in your hand. So I'm gonna lower the cacao butter, but still, and lower a little bit of the cacao, the coconut, so it's not too unstable. But then the milk also has some fat in it. So keep on lowering this, but then get to a point that if I lower too much of the coconut, then we'll lose the flavor. Or if we lower too much of the butter, cacao butter, it'll be we'll have a hard time tempering because the cocoa butter is the one that tempers. So there's a balance, but we have different. We have green coconuts, we have yellow coconuts, we have green yellow coconuts, and it depends on the coconut that I harvest. That'll be the amount of the fat content in it. So right now, the batch that we did last week, we found out it was too unstable too. And we already had a definite, supposedly, recipe on it, but it will depend on the amount of I would have to separate every coconut by color so I know how much to add. So it's crazy, but it's fun, a lot of fun. Yeah, and the combination of fruits always. We don't want to like have we have one that has it's kind of sour, but also when you have a chocolate that is kind of too much sour, then it means it's under fermented. You also have to control. So to know, so some like a lemon flavor, you will probably want to go with the white chocolate. So we always go in our heads crazy and thinking what to do with the fruits, but it always works out. So it's a fun job. We go through a lot of pearls, but it's fun. Questions so far?
It's a fermentation, the drying of the beans and of the beans. So how do you actually process the beans into chocolate?
Okay, like I said, we normally ferment it and dry it, and goes through a cracker. Once it's roasted, we roast it and we crack it. And there is a machine they're selling right there. It's a winnower. It has a vacuum connected to it, and you put the cracked beans through it, and there's a vacuum that sucks the husk out because the husk weighs less, and you get the nibs in there. It separates the cacao nibs. Once you get the cacao nibs, okay, and then that's when you decide, okay, this I'm gonna press it and get the cacao butter. It goes through a press, and cacao butter mostly you use it for white chocolate or milk chocolate. Dark chocolate, not too much. You don't need to because our cacao beans in Honduras, they have 52% fat content in it. So you don't need to add any more butter. But you need butter for the white chocolate and the milk chocolate. Okay, and you decide, okay, I'm gonna press this to get the uh, the cocoa butter, and you have this very compressed um, um, material there. You pulverize it, and that's where you get you cocoa powder for the drinks. Okay, that's that, and then you have other nibs, and you decide if you're going to go 80%. That will depend on 80% nibs, 20% sugar, or you want to do 70%. You go. It's 70% nibs, 30% sugar, and you add it and put it in the machine there, rotating at the end.
Okay.
You saw it, a little machine there. Those are the stone mills, and you let it run there for about 3 days, 3 to 4 days. Depends on how smooth you want it. And after it comes out of that machine, you put it to a conchi machine. The conchi machine, it's a French word, I think. What it does, you mix it all up and put temperature in it, and the temperature volatilizes flavors or acids they're still in there, and make a more smooth flavor. So once it goes there, from that machine goes to a tempering machine, and that tempering process it's a temperature control. What you do is you raise up the temperature to 50 degrees, and then you do a curve because you go from 50 all the way to 28, and from 28 degrees you go to 31 and a half, and you're ready to temper. And then you're once you temper it, you put it in this mold, and that's why you see the bars. They have that form, and then you're ready to pack it up and bring it to Rushville, right? Yeah, that's pretty much the whole process. Then you got to sell it. That's the hard part. This is probably, I'll say, this is the easiest part to make chocolate, which is a lot of work, time consuming, but selling it, that's the hard part. Yeah, that's the other 50% of the job. I think of everything, right? Finding customers and where to sell your products. That's a very challenging part. But coming to fairs is one way, but we'll see it more like to make friends and to make contacts. Not too much for the sales, but just to meet great people like you guys. Here it's full of. Normally, the chocolate industry, it's very nice people involved. Yeah, so it's very rewarding to come to these fairs.
So you said that you guys went from having two harvests a year down to one, and then even that one is not as much as what your normal harvest would be. Have you noticed a difference in the flavor of the beans that comes from that smaller yield?
It does. Used to be the summer bean will be more flavorful than the winter, even though the winter will be more a more plentiful harvest. But nowadays, that we only having like the summer because it helps. Uh, uh, the winter is gone. It gets too much rain. But yeah, the flavor is better. It's a lot less than we used to produce, but the flavor is good. It is good. Although the trees are acting very weird. Never seen it myself, but there's a friend of mine. There's in the cacao business, and he says in 1990 happened that we harvest every 2 weeks. Like we do this Friday, and we do it every other Friday. We harvest because you let mature the ones that were kind of had a little color in it, but in 2 weeks it will be perfect, yellowish. What's happening now? It's the trees are reacting, I think, from the stress, and you gotta harvest every day because the tree is kind of in a hurry because something bad, and so it's maturing the fruits, and we harvest do like every day.
So if you're doing it every day and you're saying like the stress on the trees, do you see that reflected in how long or how healthy the trees are? Because if they're stressed all the time, then the tree itself, I feel like, is not as stable, as healthy. No.
Exactly. The trees, you don't see them producing new branches like normally would normally on the winter time do as much. But the tree, the fruit itself, I even measure the amount of sugar in the beans itself, and it's fine, and the taste is fine also. It's just that the trees, you can tell the trees are in the winter, it'll start creating a lot of stuff on the leaves or on the trunks, and you got to just clean it all the time, tree by tree, and do a lot of pruning. So you let the sun or the wind also help you, because if you just let it grow, it's very dark inside, and that's very bad for the trees and for the fruit and for the flowering process also.
So then your friend who saw this happen in 1990, what did he say about what kind of reversed it? Or like, how did it stop? Or how did it change from 1990?
See, that's my. He said about also there were some severe droughts, and I think that the trees are reacting to this. So my whole theory about climate change is kind of a, I don't know. Sometimes it makes you think, because this is not new, and what we're seeing right now is not new. So it's happened before. So, but it happened, and he recorded it. He even gave me a date on when it happened, and it was due to the lack of rain. So it repeats. It just keep on happening all the time. So you never certain that it's really climate change or something, or probably, I mean, there's other causes. Yes, it's a cycle on Earth, and but meanwhile, we're really having a problem with it. So, all right. Any other questions? If not, I think we're done.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.